There are only a couple of events each year in the off-campus student housing industry that bring all of the industry leaders together. The annual Interface Student Housing Conference is the largest event for the industry. 2024 marks the 16th year for this conference and is being held April 24th through the 27th at the JW Marriott in Austin, Texas. This is the premier event for student housing professionals, bringing together leaders from all facets of the sector, including owners, operators, investors, lenders, and university partners. The conference features the industry's best and brightest minds all under one roof, delivering the knowledge, tools, programs, and connections necessary for leaders to shape their future success and the future of the student housing industry. So who are some of the folks attending this year's conference? Let's meet one of them right now. Micah Hollingsworth, how are you doing? I hear you're going to Austin.
Hi, Wes. I am so excited to be in Austin next month.
Well, and you actually spent some time in Austin, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's correct. So whenever student.com first started, they had an office in Austin, and I was part of the team there. So I lived there for about 3 years at the beginning of my career. Yes.
Gotcha. So I know you've been to the Interface Conference before. We're going to talk about that in a second. But 3 years there, for those that have not gone to Austin at this time of the year, tell us a little bit about what spring is like.
Oh, man. Spring is so nice. So in Austin, it gets hot, like crazy hot. So in springtime, it may warm up during the day, but it's just beautiful. It's so green and alive. And where the hotel is, the JW Marriott, it's in the heart of downtown. So everyone will see, if it's their first time, there's a really beautiful river, and you'll see people like paddleboarding and just running up and down the trails. And it's just great. There's great energy, and I think it's something for everyone to look forward to. It's a real treat.
And I think what's the flower that kind of blooms at this point in time? It's all over the place.
Yeah, the blue bonnet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I couldn't remember if it was in the spring or if it was in the summer, but yeah, those are super nice to see from the airport into the downtown area, because they're just like all over the sides, of the roads and everything, and look really cool. So, well, you mentioned student.com. You were with them for quite a while. You've been in student housing for a while, but you've got a new gig. You wanna tell us about the Guarantors, and yeah, let's just hear your elevator pitch.
So, as we all know, interest rates are rising, the cost of living is outpacing wage growth, fraud is becoming more and more sophisticated, and there is no way for operators to perfectly screen residents and their guarantors. And then you tie in the uniqueness of student housing and how common it is for there to be skips and no-shows throughout a lease term. So here at the Guarantors, we provide a product that can cover every unit from default risks, so residents can move in with less friction, and your team can rest easy knowing that your entire rent roll is covered and securitized at no net cost to you.
That is so important. The rent guarantee product is something that's been somewhat fairly new to the student housing industry, but so many folks are just seeing the benefit to it, and to hear that you guys are now doing it for an entire building or entire community. I think that is fantastic, because that's something that as a consultant on my in my other job, that is something that I'm talking to those owners all the time about. This just makes so much sense. Let's don't slow the leasing agents down having to worry about getting a parental guarantor, right? Because we all know how long that can end up taking. And looking at what's happened in the industry the past 2 leasing cycles, where there's been so much demand, especially in your Power 5 conferences, and things were leasing up so quick. I've personally been a part of having to tell a few roommates that, hey, you're not going to be able to get this roommate that you're wanting, because we've got so many people coming in the door, and this person that sent in their application saying they wanted to room with you, it's not happening because we can't get their parental guarantor qualified.
Yeah.
So, well, that's fantastic. And happy to we're glad that you landed over there. We just put out a behind the biz episode about the Guarantors. So, if folks want to hear more about what is going on over there and you joining them, I would certainly suggest that they go listen to that. But let's get back and talk a little bit about Interface Conference. This isn't going to be your first Interface Student Housing Conference.
Yeah, that's right. So I've gone to every conference, like minus COVID, the COVID years, since 2016. And it is by far my personal favorite student housing conference. To me, there's a lot of value attending this conference. There's people who are just entering the space who are like curious, just kind of there to learn. And then there's just veterans who have been in the industry for 30 plus years, and you never know who you're going to run into or talk to. So yeah, I think it's a great conference.
Yeah, it definitely there's a big spectrum to it. I mean, you're talking about I think the past 2 years they've had close to 1,200 attendees each year, if not over 1,200. I was just looking at the attendee list last night actually, and they're back at that number already, and we're still from the time you and I are having this conversation, we're still almost 4 weeks out
Mhm. Yeah.
from it. So it's awesome to see how that's growing. So for those that are, the main reason I wanted to do this video series is just to kind of give everybody, number one, a taste of who's going to be there, but also just a little bit of, for those that haven't been to Austin before, what is there to do as far as the conference is concerned? What are some things that you would suggest? So let's talk first about the conference. Is there anything specific that you would say, hey, make sure that you do this? Maybe it's a session, maybe it's a round table. What is it for you?
Yeah. So for me, just the conference in general, my tip to anyone is just stay open and stay present, because you really never know who you're going to be standing next to. Like
It's
I
true.
mean, if you've been to this conference, like there's like the lobby bar, like right when you walk in. I mean, that place is popping from I've been there, and I mean, I've seen people in the industry like taking shots at like 1 o'clock. Like it's just a fun place to be, right? And
Yeah.
so I think just staying present, like, there may be people or potential clients or current clients that you're working with that you weren't able to connect with for a meeting. They're like, hey, we're booked, just they weren't able to get to you. And then you may see them if you're just being open, and then you can talk, and that may lead to something that is helpful for both of you guys. So that would be one thing. I think just that lobby area is cool if you don't have your own like room rented. And
Yeah.
also sometimes it's hard to get quality time. Like I know we all have booths. It's great for to do the expo, and also it's kind of quick. A lot of times it's like quick conversations, exchange cards. But yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity downstairs in the lobby. You're also in that little restaurant next door. I forget what it's called. I don't know if you remember.
You're talking about the barbecue restaurant
No,
or
it's like
the
connected to the building. It's like
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe it may do barbecue, and that's something else we can talk about next. Some barbecue in Austin.
Well, let's talk about it because
Important.
that is the one thing. Let me tell you, I've already started, a diet because I'm like, I've got to lose some before I get to Austin because
Gosh.
I know when I get to Austin, the barbecue starts calling and it's
Oh
on
my
after that.
It's so good. So I'm from Memphis. So I was like raised with really good like dry ribs,
Yeah.
barbecue, and like pulled pork. And then I like thought that was the Mecca. And then I moved to Austin, Texas, and I'm like, what is this brisket? What is happening right now? And it's so delicious. There's a place for me. So I lived right next to it. I would walk to it when I lived in town. It's called Terry Black's. And that to me, it's easy, it's delicious. I mean, you could walk to it from the Marriott. And so that would be my one recommendation if you're in town. So actually, I have two. So I'll say Terry Black's. And then there's a spot called Loro. Oh gosh, it's so delicious. So it's like Asian fusion barbecue, but it's
Oh,
not basic at all. It is just the best. But I will let you know that they do not take reservations. So if you go with the crew, like you'll probably be waiting for like 30 minutes to an hour. But
gotcha.
it's great. It's a great atmosphere. It's very Austin. And yeah, I'm hoping to make it a trip there while I'm in town.
Yeah, no, I've not heard of that, so that is perfect.
So
I'll
good.
definitely check that out. So, well, hey, let's talk a little bit about the conference some more. I think you guys are actually releasing some data or something, if I remember correctly. I know. Is this your first time, or I should say, for the Guarantors? Is this their first time exhibiting at the conference?
So they did come last year, and because we have been in the industry for a couple years, just
Yeah,
selling a product, a guarantor replacement product that was at a little smaller scale than what we're
sure.
offering now. So yes, so we have been before, but this will be my first time representing with the guarantors.
Gotcha. Now, are you like I mentioned? It seems like you guys had some data or white paper or something that you were going to release. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm super excited about this. So we have our first student housing white paper that we'll be releasing within the next week or two. So it'll be before interface, and we have interviews from just a couple of influential, very well educated folks in the space. So I've got Charlie Matthews, Ryan Hand with Inhabitor, Charlie Matthews with College House, and then David Seymour, who's representing an international data
Yeah,
housing brand, Amber Student.
yeah,
So
yeah.
those three guys have it's fun. They wrote some very insightful and some funny stuff that we'll be putting in the white paper, and then just some other data that my team's going to be collecting and sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, David's great. I met him for the first time in Vegas at the NMHC conference, and of course, we had a lot of conversations on LinkedIn and that type of thing. So,
Oh, yeah.
looking forward to seeing him and Amber being represented there as well.
Yeah.
Well, hey, any other parting thoughts for our audience before we head out?
I just want to say thank you again, Wes, for inviting me to come speak with you. And yeah, anyone who is going to be at Interface, I would love to just connect. And we actually, so our booth, we're not going to be in the expo within the room. We're like outside in the in
I actually love that. That
that was
that is so much easier than actually going into the exhibit hall.
honestly, that was like a pro tip. Like it wasn't because we were like, we don't want to do it's like, no, this is where people are in and out. I think there's
Yeah,
a little bit more opportunity. Like I say, if you're staying present, people hang out in that area. So we'll have two booths, and one of the booths will have craft coffee. So I know you'll see this year there's a Starbucks basically is our options for coffee, and that line just gets
nice.
long. And so yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna have just really yummy free coffee for anyone who wants to come by, grab a cup. I know my team's coming up with some really cool giveaways, and we have some beautiful swag stuff that I think is pretty unique that we'll be offering as well.
nice.
So just come say hello, and I think that's what I would ask is just to connect.
Well, we will definitely put your contact information and everything in the show notes, and I'll talk to you and see if you've got like a Calendly link or something like that we could put in there as well. But if anybody wants to get some information, what's the website again?
The website would be theguarantors.com. But what you just said, so we actually have a student landing page, Wes. So I'm going
Okay,
to give you that link if maybe you can attach that to,
perfect.
yeah, with the information of this podcast. So it'll direct you straight to just a little a page that you can put in your information. I can contact you directly.
Well, perfect. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you again April 24th through the 26th. And you're also going to be at our brunch. Thanks to the Guarantors for helping sponsor that as well. That's going to be on the morning of the 24th.
Mhm.
So if you're an owner or an operator and don't have plans for brunch on Wednesday morning on the 24th, shoot us an email. That email will be in the show notes as well, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. Thanks so much, Micah. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Wes.